ask you about love, probably quote me a sonnet. But you've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable. If you can't tell me what it feels like to wake up next to a woman and feel truly happy.
What's going on with your world? You already know what it is. You are now tuned into Are You Afraid of the Blank? Here with your boy, with the homie, John Q. We also got Mr. Saul U in the building.
Bro, you can't start the show like that.
Why not?
It's like he goes to the beat and then he always catches me. I keep thinking, oh, he might actually, he might say something, might freestyle for a second.
What?
But no, man, it's complete lies. Fabricated stories. Horrible.
Oh, I'll freestyle in here one day.
Yeah? One
day?
All right, one day.
Y'all almost got me 1 week. I mean, one week, I did a little something.
All right.
A little bit.
Whatever.
But
come on, man. We got like super famous people in the house.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a dope beat to freestyle to.
Oh yeah, man. I got the beats for days. I got the beats.
Don't let him fool you. Like he's got the beats and he's got the lyrics, but he just don't want to. He's selfish. Can't be selfish in this music world.
You can find me on Spotify. Yeah. Tell him to come on in here if he need to come in here. But I would like to first welcome everybody who's tuning in right now, man. Make sure y'all drop any questions that you have in the chat room. Our phone lines are already blowing up and we just started. You guys didn't even give us a chance to do an intro. But if you guys have a question or you want to call in later, we'll open up the phone lines. I'll let you guys know when we can take some calls. The phone number is 407-582-2906. If you're listening on the MixLR, that is up in the chat room right now. As well, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, that is pinned up there in the chat room. And I would like to introduce special guest, legend, who we have in the building. He is a legend. He made that. In the building, we got Albert Sterling Menendez. Should I say the whole name or should I be like, we got Sterling in the building?
No, that's beautiful.
That's
pretty good.
I did good. I was all right.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But and we also have another man in the studio. We got Damon in the building. Should I say Damon's in the building? Yeah, he's in here making sure everything goes correctly and smooth, making sure no fans break through the windows.
Right.
He's serving as
they're there though. I see him. Get back.
He is in the building. But yeah, man, I would first like you to. I always tell people to introduce themselves because I want them to let people know in the world like what you want the world to know about yourself. So Albert, man, can you introduce yourself, let the world know a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure, by all means. What's going on, guys? My name is Albert Sterling Menendez. I am a keyboardist first and foremost. That's what I do mostly. But I'm a musician, songwriter, father, husband,
Good
earth
brother.
liver. I walk the earth. I do the best I can. I like coffee, things like that. That's
okay. All right.
Yeah, man.
I like it. Yeah, nah, he's a human being. You know what I mean? He lives here.
Straight up.
Absolutely.
That's what we all are, man. But I'm so glad that we got you in the building and the phone line's still blowing up. We're going to open the phones in just a minute. It'll be good. But so my man Saul over here was fanning out with you much earlier. I would like the world to know. Like, Saul, just take it away.
All right.
Because you got.
Well, I mean, it stinks now because I asked him half of the interview on the hallway. Walked in. Right. He pulled out of the car, and honestly, I was a little bit in shock.
Like right when he jumped out the car, you was just like, yo.
Well, no, I mean, pretty much.
1 foot out the door.
Yeah, almost. Because like music, when music means as much as it does to me, and you meet somebody that music means that much to them, and you can see through their work and you can feel it. I was telling you, I'm listening to some of your stuff,
That was very
personal
nice.
stuff.
That was very nice. The words you were saying, that was beautiful.
No,
Thank you.
and
Appreciate
it's true. It's you have to geek out a little and get excited because it's like, man, someone else who gets it. You know what I mean? I'm not the crazy one in the group of my friends. Now there's two crazy, two music crazy people, but it's gonna be awesome. So that first and foremost, like he said, thank you for coming here. Thank you for this whole everything, for making it happen as well. But another thing, just kind of the repertoire and the musicians that you've just played with and written songs for and everything like that. I mentioned to you outside, very eclectic. I mean, how does that happen? From working with somebody like, I mentioned earlier, like the Spam All-Stars to a Peter Tosh or a Luther Vandross or something like that. How does that happen?
I guess it's just the you walk life, the path that you walk, and then people that you tune into, the people that happen to connect to what you do, or you connect to what they do, and it's not like it was planned. Life took me to that way. For example, Spam, which I know you're a fan of. Spam Andrew is an amazing guitar player that I know from Miami. He used to work with this artist named Neil Lara, who I love dearly, and I consider one of the greatest artists I ever worked with. And then Andrew became a DJ and started the band, and he said, Albert, you want to come and play on my records? I'm like, of course. Then going back to coffee. He has an amazing coffee spot in his own studio. So
all right, you're not kidding about the coffee.
Plug his coffee spot. I want to know this. I worked in a coffee shop for like 3 years of my life. So so I plug his coffee. What's the name of his coffee spot?
No, he doesn't have a coffee spot. He's got a Cuban coffee machine, like the old schools. Like if you go to, say, I don't want to sell any stores, but you go to, say, Versailles or La Carreta, he's got that machine in the studio.
Wow.
Because he's a lover. So we'll go and get coffee and then we'll jam. I'm just amazing.
Hey,
but it's great.
Young musicians, take note out there, all right? Get a really good coffee machine. And you get some serious, musicians in there to do some work with you, all right? All right, so that's rule number one, good coffee. It's funny because I have this coffee maker that my dad gave to my mother on her first Mother's Day of me. I'm the firstborn of all my cousins and everything, first generation on this country. And this thing's like from 1982. And I broke the coffee pot, the glass pot, a week ago. I have it. I've took it with me. Yeah, like I took it with me through
French
college and everything.
Or the regular brewer one?
No, it's like this big 12 glass.
Gotcha.
This thing looks like a time machine.
Gotcha.
So, and everybody, I put it up on Facebook, and everybody is killing me. Saul, does that coffee taste like the Great Depression? Because it looks old. Well, luckily enough, I had a good friend sent me the exact eBay link to the coffee pot itself. They still made it because the machine itself, it was going for $90, and I was like, $90?
No way.
Yeah, you crazy? I can get an espresso machine, for $50.
Sure.
But I ended up getting that. So coffee to coffee lover, I feel you. You know what I mean? Yeah, you gotta. No, I'm telling you, bro. This guy's like my cousin or something. Long lost. I've known him for forever.
That's funny.
But
yeah, family tree. You see,
it's close. Look, Dominican Republic, Cuba, they're there. You know what I'm saying?
It's right.
It's the same. No doubt. I'm pretty sure I got family just trying to go hide over there and stuff. You never know. I don't know. Anything's crazy. Anything's possible.
You can see it from the east of the island, man. It's right there.
Yeah, really? It's super close.
It's that close? I've never been.
It's really close.
Well, you got to think. It's the tip of Miami, right? Is 90 miles away from Cuba.
Havana.
Yeah, from Havana. Yeah. And then that's right there. DR is right next to Cuba and then Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it's on the east side. You got from Oriente, the Dominican, then you get Jamaican, then you got Puerto Rico, and it's a Caribbean.
Everything.
El Bermuda Triangle.
See, I'm glad we brought this up.
We brought
up
the Bermuda.
Well, not the Bermuda Triangle.
Okay, I'll let you.
But the whole fact that he just named all those islands because the sound that you bring is so unique. Especially that sound just from Cuba itself.
Yeah.
And the transition into American music and stuff like that. I mean, how did you even get started? How does that happen? What were your influences?
Well, when I was a young kid growing up in Havana, I was a huge fan of American music. Like I totally, and this sounds almost like disrespectful, but I hated Cuban music growing up.
Wow.
I was totally, I would listen. See, Cuba's so close to the States. So my love is just to turn on my dad's old radio, and you could kind of tune in to the American radio stations.
Wow.
So at night, when there was less interference and you could get a little nicer, I would listen to Earth, Wind and Fire, George Benson, Chicory, Herbie Hancock, all that type of music. That's the music that got me going. Like, then I would, the daytime, my dad, who's a musician in Cuba, you hear the Cuban music. That's music for old people. I'm not into that. I wanted to hear what I found in my mind was hip.
Yeah,
so that's the stuff that I kind of grew up, wanting to emulate. So I guess, and then eventually, obviously, you realize the Cuban music is just as amazing as anything. As you get older, you appreciate it, and then you play it, and you go, wow. And then I guess you have the stuff that you were born with the stuff that influence you, and then you kind of do a mash in your brain, and then you develop who you are. That comes from obviously stuff that you learn, and then I could go on and on because I did all that, but then I studied classical piano. So then I have that corner, which is a little more strict and properly harmonized and all of that. So I guess all those things mashed together got me to where I am now sonically, as a writer, as a pianist, as a producer, as a songwriter. It just became that.
So was it one of those, like, your parents made you play the piano, or you know what I mean?
Hell, yes. Yeah. I don't know if I can sell hell on the radio, but yeah.
No, that word is all right.
We've had people say worse. Don't worry.
No, my dad, who's my biggest teacher, he would, I grew up, my love was drums, just like Damon. Damon's a drummer here right next to me. My love was drums. I would get up and I start hitting cans and things, and then my dad would sit me on the piano, and I love the piano. So I'll rock the piano, and then I'll go back to the drums, and I play with my dad. Put me back on the piano, and I love the piano, and I go back. And then that went on for probably a good year until the piano kind of went out. And then when I didn't go back to the drums no more, I decided like I had drums, and I had like cans and cymbals, but he threw that out. And then we did have an upright piano, so I stuck with the piano.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, yeah, my
But I'll tell you what. This I'll say proudly, man. I am one hell of a drummer, bro. I mean, bad for about 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes?
Oh, damn.
And
and I got nothing. But those 5 minutes, man, I rock.
Okay.
That sounds just like me, bro.
That's enough in the studio.
I'm a real good freestyler for like the first 5 words.
So after that, it was like, forget this.
So you're a great studio drummer then, because you can just, all right, let's do this fill.
Back in the day, forget it. Nowadays, with Pro Tools and computers, I guess you can record for 5 minutes and then chop it up.
Yeah.
Sound replacement.
And explain that process a little bit. I mean, because you've seen the music industry change for sure, just on your come up into where you're at now.
Right.
How is it recording new music? How different is it now doing it from when you started?
It's exactly the same, and it's also incredibly different. I say it's exactly the same because if you go to the studio, you got to perform. It could be for a second or for 2 hours. You still have to perform. What's different about it is that nowadays with technology, anybody has a studio. You have a studio in your laptop.
Yeah.
So you can record at, whatever, Abbey Road in London, or you can record in my boy's apartment here.
Yeah.
So records are done in any possible way. And I find that to be amazing because it allows anybody a voice. We all have a voice, you had to express yourself musically. Back in the day, when you had the budget or you were the cousin of the owner, you could record. Now, anybody can do it.
Right.
So if you have something to say, the means are there to do it, and the means are there also to sell yourself. It's called the internet. You do music, you put it out there. If it's good enough and enough people reach or listen to it, you will have an audience. That makes it a bit more difficult because then everyone can do it.
Yeah.
But that's a beautiful thing. I mean, I find that to be so much more refreshing than back in the day. You were at the mercy of either the label or the artist or management. Now anybody, if you have something to say, you can say it, and people will listen to it if it's good enough.
Yeah. Man,
there it is.
This guy, bro, just dropping dimes, man, dropping knowledge on me right now. This is great.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Speaking about the studio, you do run your own studio and record label.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? When did you start the record label?
Label started maybe about 7 years ago. I was living in New York at the time, maybe a bit longer than that, maybe 8 now. It came up, it was a suggestion by a very, very dear friend of mine named Frankie Feliciano, who's an amazing DJ, house producer as well. And I've done a number of records with him on some other people, and he was like, yo, Albert, so, he speaks, quite to them. You should start your label. I'm like, yeah. You should do it. I'm like, okay. If you tell me to do it, I'll do it.
Oh, but just like that.
I love Frankie. Frankie is an amazing human. I mean, he's just an amazing person. He said, do it, and I said, why not? So my first record was with John Cicada, a guy that we were talking about earlier. He's an amazing Cuban singer. He came out of the Gloria Estefan camp. That was my first single. And then slowly but surely, I've continued to release music. It's something that I enjoy doing quite a bit. It's an outlet for creativity that may not be, say, commercial or known worldwide, but it's something that I find an affinity to it. I really enjoy it, and it keeps me alive.
Yeah.
You can do music that I just do because I love it, and hopefully, people listen to it and want to spend a few dollars.
Yeah, for sure. So first, let's throw the name out of the record label.
The
that you
label's
started.
called Sterling Blue Music, which is obviously my middle name, Sterling, and blue because this is one of my favorite colors, blue and silver. So that's it, Sterling Blue Music. You can find it online. It has a website. Obviously, I'm not here to plug the music, but
you can
find
music,
bro.
man.
You can get it,
plug some of the
places.
artists and the music. Just do it, man. Do what you got to do.
Sure. All right, let's see. Artists that I've had, like I said, I included John Cicada, Sarah Divine, who's an amazing singer, wife of a dear friend of mine. And I had what I've enjoyed about the label. I mean, not just the artists. I mean, Carlene Graham out of London, my boy Pete Simpson out of London as well, who's now in Brussels. Great singers. I've also done instrumental stuff. I work with a great array of different DJs that have done remixes for the label. People like Ian Friday out of New York, of course, Frankie, Ziggy Funk out of London, Neil Pearce out of London, Aaron Ross, Vic Lavender out of Chicago. I mean, the more I think about it, the more people come out that have been involved on the label. So it's fun. Oh, my man Man X, who passed away. Rest in peace, Man X, an amazing DJ producer as well, label owner. So that's what I'm doing. You can find it with Traxsource, of course, Beatport, and obviously iTunes Music. Just Google. Sterling Ensemble, and then you can check out the music.
And so how did it feel being the performer and the musician, and then going to the record label like head, the exec? Do you also do the distribution and?
Yeah. That's a great question. It was nerve-wracking. I know how to play piano. I know. Going to a label and making a label become successful in what I would call successful, because I'm not Sony Records by any means, but doing what I do, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of, you got to ask tons of questions. You got to be quite receptive to what people tell you. And then, of course, you got to follow your own feeling. And what I did is I try to model the label to labels that I love what they do and what they've done in the past. Labels like Naked Music, labels like Astroworks. I was a big fan of them. And then, labels from people that I currently still work with, like Kenny Dope. He's got Dope Wax. People like Louis Vega. He's got Elements of Life. And he's got Ma Records. And then he did Vega Records. So I try to model myself to what they did with my own twist. Doing music that I love and I would like to hear, and hopefully people relate to what I try to release.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, because I felt, because I started like a music collective label myself, and like I feel is like changing from the musician to doing the label work took a lot out of the creative process.
Yeah, no, it can be. It certainly can be. Yeah, it's a fine line. It's just, it's like life.
Yeah.
You go through life, you learn, and then you learn through that, and hopefully successful. And if it's not successful, it's still a learning process.
Oh, yeah.
And if you learn from it, then you become a better person. So, yeah, for sure. How did you think though? How did you live?
We're doing fine. It took me a lot out. It took a lot out of the creative process to where it's like, okay, I got to do the paperwork. I got to do this. I got to do that. So when it came to like, okay, I'm gonna sit in the studio and just hang out, and then we're gonna create something, that like doesn't happen anymore. Now it's like I have to clear out my phone and turn it off and be like, this is what I'm focusing on right now. So it changes. I can't just willy-nilly just have that kind of fun, just walk up in there and just be like, let's do this. Let's make three songs here. Sure, and then we'll figure that out later.
Also, I mean, and I don't mean to continue on because I'm sure you guys might want to go somewhere else, but is if you find or you create a team of people that you like and trust, that they can say, yo, enough for that.
Yeah.
Go here, or you may need to do this, or, do what you do best. If you don't, if you know you're not a corporate label head, then concentrate on the music and hire people that you love and respect to help you in that matter. And obviously, if you don't have any money, then you go to people that you love.
Interns.
So your interns, or you do trade-off. Like, for example, I do that a lot nowadays. Sometimes there's labels, for example, I'll do another plug. I'm going to be DJing with my man, Mr. V, who's got an amazing label called Soul Channel Music out of San Jose. I'm going to DJ with him on the 9th of September. Lately, he says, Albert, I got this great records. You want to get involved? Well, you play for me, and then I'll do mixes for you. So we do that.
Hey.
I play for because I love what he does, and I have a lot of respect for his work. So you do that. If you don't have someone, you cannot afford someone, we say, look, I offer you my services of what I do, and maybe you can do your services for me. And that's a great way to work.
There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah,
you got
to.
There's a lot of that going on, man. But you dropped some on me, and for everybody else listening, man, that's some knowledge right there. So make sure y'all play this back and listen to it. But Saul, you over there steaming, man. What you got?
No, I'm not. I'm listening, man. No. This is all good. Like, no, keep out. Like, I mean, part of the show that we try to do here is obviously to, when we talk to musicians and record label owners and things like that, for all our other aspiring musicians in our community and everyone else that wants to kind of get in on that, they need to hear this. True. You know what I mean? They need to realize that. I mean, I've seen his personal struggle with that. Because I kill him every week about making music.
And he's also like, but you need health insurance. And I'm like,
but I kill him on that too.
I know, I'm still young, I'm still kicking, but he's like, you need this, you need that.
It's like that older cousin giving him advice. You know what I mean?
Smart advice he's giving.
I know, but it's the struggle.
Yeah. So I've seen that, and I guess he always mentions how it is. It takes away a little bit from the creativity because you got to push paper, man. You got to call people. You got to emails, whatever it is,
and you got to pay bills.
You got to pay bills. That too, man. So everything is just prioritizing. But no, so I mean, I the thing is, all my questions and everything are just nerdy, fanboy questions, and it's just like putting you on the spot. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you worked with artists like Shakira, Luther Vandross, we mentioned already, Peter Tosh, I said, and John Cicada, just among some. I mean, you've got like a million that you've worked with, and you don't have to answer this.
Okay.
But I guess maybe who's kind of the most fun maybe to work with, or you know what I mean, fun. Maybe or most memorable, you know what I mean.
Don't create no enemies.
No, and that's why, you know what I mean.
I heard that's a good question. That's a legit question.
You know what I mean? Because
I think every artist brings something fun and some not so fun. Some artists are incredibly demanding, and they're great to work with, but you want to do your work and go home right away because you're not best of friends. That doesn't mean you don't enjoy the work. But and the other artists, you're like, forget the work, let's go have a beer.
Yeah,
because that's their personality. Again, maybe the music may not even be that good, but they have great vibes, so you enjoy that. So I think everybody brings something to the table. I mean, obviously, Shakira has been my job for the past 19 years now, and she's amazing.
And I definitely want to get into that.
Bad girl, and she's incredibly successful. She's an entrepreneur. She's a mom. She has her foundation that she's built schools for kids, and she's still, she hasn't been on the road for about 7 years because she has some issues with her voice. Now she's back and she's killing it. The tour is doing great, and there's people like Alejandro Sanz that I work with, which I think is one of the greatest songwriters that's out there, especially in the Latin market. And Sanz is one of those guys. It's like, for example, Shakira is very demanding. Let's go work. She's a hard worker. And then sometimes you hang. Alejandro will come in and say, "Yeah, sounds good. Let's go." And that's the way he is. For example, Jamiroquai. I mean, what can I tell you, my man? He would just do what he does, and I don't mean that. I don't need to promote any kind of smoking, but he will do it, and then let's go do a thing. And then there's, so many
this
people.
Is so good to hear, man. This is so good to hear. Yes.
Like, for example, Louis Vega, which I talked about. Louis and Kenny in the studio, those guys are like workaholics. But it was just about throwing ideas. Do that, I do this, I do that. Oh, I like it. And then on the spot doing remixes that have become legends. Roy Ayers, Jocelyn Brown, George Benson, India. It's just amazing cats. And a different lifestyle, So I think they're all. For example, I talk about another guy. A few years ago I did a record with an artist named Roberto Carlos, who's like the biggest Brazilian artist there is. And Roberto is about 70-some years old, And Roberto would come into the studio, hey guys, how you doing? You ready? Let's go work here. Bottles, drink, let's go. And I mean, like, 70-some men, lovely. And I mean, talking about one of the greatest Brazilian artists there are. We recorded at Abbey Road in London. You know? Impressive music and an amazing person and incredibly chill. He would open his mouth, you're like, damn. This guy can sing. Just wonderful experiences. Peter Tosh. Want to hear about a funny one? Peter Tosh. I get called, this is in New York years ago, to go to the studio. I walk in the studio because I went in by myself, whatever. The band walks in and they start talking about, Rastaman, what's... And I'm like, excuse me, guys, I'm sorry. I know I got dressed, but I'm Cuban. I got vibe out. They're like,
oh,
word.
I'm like, so we start recording, and I start playing. I'm thinking we're gonna do reggae, blah, blah. They're like, no, that's not right. I'm like, what do you mean it's not right? Because reggae, you think is simply of the upbeat. No, there's all this bubbling and all this history going on. And they call dope water, they call different things, and that means I drop out of this, and I had no idea. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
But then I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry, guys, but I want to learn. As soon as I said I was Cuban, they didn't love it, but they were hipper about it. We started to talk. Of course, they went into the room, the smoking room. Everything got chill. They started talking, and I got it. And they totally taught me how to record reggae music, and it was an amazing session.
Oh,
I'll
wow.
never forget it because of that. I thought I was gonna be fire right away.
Wow.
Next thing I know, I'm hanging out with Peter, and it was all good. But it's another lesson, and not knowing that you don't know anything. When you think you don't. You learn every day.
Can you give some advice? Because I know in my life, and I know a lot of people in their life, when they're faced with a situation like that, they just want to say no and run away. Is there any type of advice you can give anybody about kind of facing that fear of the new, of the unknown?
I can speak of myself in that particular situation, and I guess of others. But if I go to that one and put myself in that situation, I could not say no. That I was brand new in New York, I needed the money.
Okay,
so I'm like, I'm doing this, no matter what happens. And then but of course, sometimes you have to say no. I think one of the most difficult things to say is to realize that, dude, I can't do this. And honestly say, listen, I am not going to be able to do this. Hire someone else. I could not do that because I needed the loop, but I probably should have said that. But I stuck around, and they were nice enough to kind of hook me up. And then, it's if you are a musician and you feel music. I could be playing, for example. I done, for example, records like flamenco music. That if you don't know flamenco, you got a completely different clave. And if you're not born with that, or I never really done records from the Middle East, but music and rhythmically and tonically, they're foreign to me.
Oh, yeah.
So unless they are interested in hearing what I would add to that, and they want something original, I would probably have to walk out of there because I don't know that genre. So back to the question of what do you tell them? Well, obviously, if you put in a situation that you don't know what's going on, well, first of all, listen. Shut up and listen. Because that's how you learn.
Yeah.
And when people talk to you, what they want, what they don't want. And then, second of all, ask questions. Because most of us, and I think the way we live in nowadays, people are trying to live in a plastic bubble that you know everything and nobody can tell you anything. And you walk in there with knowledge. So you learn every day. Go in, listen, ask, and then, assess how good of a job you can do. And maybe it's good enough for them. If it's not, then they get fired, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
Well,
from my perspective, I think you learn more from mistakes than you learn from success.
okay.
If you fail, you go, I better get that together.
So,
But if you do well, you're like, all right, I got this.
So when do you know to say no? Because I know there's people who always say advice. Well, even if you don't know that you can do it, try it so that you may learn a new skill.
Yeah.
When do you know to say, all right, this is not me?
For me, probably is as I grew older that you become a little more self-aware. I think when you're younger, first of all, you think you know it all. And second of all, the need to do it is the other thing. I think as you go through life, being a doctor, an architect, or whatever it is, you know what you're good and you know your limitations, you know what you can push. So if you, like, say, for example, if I was not a good speaker and I was asked to do an interview, I would come in, but I'll tell you, look, I'm not really good at talking. I do my best, and hopefully that's good enough for you guys. But if I have limitations that I'm not able to express myself, I'm just not a good speaker. The people that are great listeners when I go talking, then I say, look, I'm not gonna do a radio interview. It's not what I do.
Yeah, it'll be like,
you know what I mean?
I don't know if you've seen any of like Kodak Black. He came in an interview with a ski mask on.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, and there's
what, because he's maybe shy?
Nobody knows why. To this day, nobody knows why he.
I didn't even hear about that. Yeah, I didn't have no idea.
Nobody knows why he had a ski mask on.
He was like somebody Google my man and found out.
He was like not answering any questions. He was like one word answering, and it's like, why'd you take this interview?
It could be. He could have been.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah,
he could have been a fight with his lady mom or something.
Nobody knows. It got like millions of views though because it was very entertaining to watch.
There you go.
I was laughing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was on the Breakfast Club. Shouts out.
I mean, you want to open up the phone lines? Or,
oh yeah, let's definitely open up the phone line. So because we have, I think I had to deny like 20 something calls because we weren't open yet. But let's open up the phone line. So let's get a caller in here, and the next person who calls me, we can I'll answer that.
While we wait for a caller, funny enough, I was watching this interview with Lee Scratch Perry, and they asked him, I mean, because that guy's music career, it's crazy. Who I guess he still listens to, or what does he listen to? I guess maybe to find inspiration or just in general to relax to or anything. Like, what are some of the musicians or anything new that you're listening to right now, maybe?
I listen to music all the time, and I realize being a musician, the more music you learn, the more you realize there's so much stuff you never heard. You may never even hear. There's so much stuff. I mean, for example, now if I was to tell you, I'm
or maybe like a favorite, favorite DJ too. You know what I mean? Something like that.
I've been listening to Gregory Porter, singer out of New York. You know Gregory?
Gregory, yes, awesome. Yeah,
man, that voice. I just discovered him again live. I was in Airbnb 2 years ago, and I stay on the Airbnb, and the owner of the Airbnb is Gregory's cousin. He had his CDs. You're listening to this, and I was like, what a voice!
Right.
I'm listening to K Tronada. I love my man.
I might open up for K Tronada.
Yo, tell him I say what up. I'm a huge fan.
I will. Hey, K Tronada, I'm a huge fan of K Tronada.
Huge fan. I've been listening to my man Ziggy Funk. This is DJ out of London. I'm really enjoying his music now.
Hey, I don't mean to cut you off, but we have a caller. We have somebody who called in. Let me stop some of these vibes in the background though, so we can hear what they're saying.
Yeah, this guy's all about K Tronada. I can't wait to be there. So it's gonna be good.
I put like the world on Mr. K Trey.
Yeah, man, of course.
I got an event on Friday where I'm gonna play a lot of K Tronada for the people, but that'll be for sure. Nice. So we do have a caller on the lines. Caller, can you introduce yourself? Who do I have on the air? What's your name?
Hello, my name is Tamara. I'm actually author Tamara Dalton.
Hey.
Awesome.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Do you have a question for my man, Mr. Sterling?
I have a few questions. Yeah. How long have you played with Shakira?
I started with her in 1999. My first work with her was when she did the MTV Unplugged record. And that's why I kicked in, 1999. So it's been almost 20 years now.
Wow, that's awesome. And who else have you played with besides Shakira?
Oh, he went on a list.
Quite a few, a lot of different people. But for example, Alejandro Sanz, Roberto Carlos, Jamiroquai, George Benson. Quite a few. John Cicada, Neil Lauras, Pamela Stars. It's quite a lot of different artists I have to be happy and proud to be a part of, yeah.
Wow. Well, let me tell you, because I was a student once at Valencia Community College.
Yeah.
And very great college. I'm very excited that you guys are part, with Valencia Community College. That's awesome.
What you study when you came out here?
Well, I'm a registered nurse, but I take some courses with them. But I actually graduated with Florida Hospital College. But I did take a few courses from Valencia Community College.
Very nice.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you.
That's
Awesome.
Well, thank you for calling in. I mean, do you have any last words to say? Let's have you do some shout. You have anybody you want to shout out who may be listening right now?
Well, I want to shout out to really Miss Elizabeth Mendes. I want to shout out to my friend. I want to shout out to everybody from Florida Hospital, and that's Tamara here.
All right.
But like I said, you guys really, I'm really enjoying what you guys are doing in Orlando. We needed that.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
For
Nice.
That's
sure.
awesome.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you for
call.
that.
All right. Thanks for calling.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. And so if we have any other callers, man, feel free to call the phone lines. I'll throw that phone number out there. Again, it's 407-582-2906. We have a man, Albert Sterling. I like the Sterling name, man. It's like smooth. It's real easy. We got my man Sterling in the building.
Thank you.
Holding it down. So make sure you hit those phone lines. I'm gonna get us some background tunes. I'm gonna pull those vibes back up. Saul, you got anything else?
Well, no. I mean, I think you wanted to get into asking them a little bit about what's going on tonight, maybe, or is it?
With Shakira? Is that tonight or in 2 days?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. Yeah. So how you said you've been working with her for 19 years? Has it been in the studio or has it been just the
It's
touring
been both.
side?
It's been both. I started simply as a musician in the band. Did live recordings and did a lot of tours, and then I was fortunate enough that she asked me to be a part of the writing team for the when she was getting ready to do the She Wolf, what became the record She Wolf, and the Spanish record which is called Sale el Sol. So I was, she brought me in the studio, and I, fortunate. I mean, it was a life-changing experience because I was able to write 2 songs on the English record, and 3 songs on that Spanish record.
Wow.
And that brought me a level of, a professional level as a writer, and the people that realized the kind of music that I could do when you get to work with such a big artist. So it was kind of like a nice stepping stone to other things that I was able to do after that.
Okay. Yeah. How was being in the studio writing songs and for the English record and then the Spanish record? How is that? Do you write them simultaneously?
Some things did. I mean, when you write in the studio, you do a number of songs. For every song that you hear on the record, there was probably 10 other songs that are just somewhere in somebody's hard drive.
Really?
Yeah, because then when you do a record, that's it. You just start creating, and then you pick and choose what you think you want to add to it. So some of the songs were done, right on the spot, like me on the piano, her singing.
Oh.
All the songs I just create ideas, or either piano thing or a whole thing with a band, drums, guitar, keyboards, programming, and I'll present it to her, and she would go, "Yeah, I like that. Let me give it to me," or she would start listening to it. The best possible way that she's digging a song is like, okay, I hear it, open up the mic, let me go. That's she go, oh, I got something right here.
That's the best one, right?
Yeah, but that's how it would go. You're either with her, she's Albert, she would, at the time she had a lot of different writers, so you go, today's your day, you and I want to work.
Oh, wow.
And then the next day you go and you prepare some other things, or if you come up with something that you felt was good enough or you thought that you would be interested, then either you emailed it to her or you say, hey, listen to this. So that's the process to get it going.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so how did you get in this place? Like, how did you get in the right place in the right time? Did you one day just get a phone call like, hey, we need you in the studio, we have an artist, and then you popped in there and it was like,
Dude, when I started working with her, dude, it was life. I was in New York. I just moved to New York. Was in 99, so I moved to New York in 95. I had worked with John Shakira, again, back to the old schools. And she had signed with Emilio Estefan, who was obviously, Gloria Estefan's husband and the creator of Miami Sound Machine, to be her manager and basically to lead her career. So they hire my dear friend who's Tim Mitchell, the MD now for the band, and Emilio's camp decided, well, let's find a band for her to record this Unplugged record, which became, an amazing record for her, one of her most popular records. So, because I had worked in John Cicada, the people that were working for her, they were Emilio's camp. She needed a keyboard player, and they called me. My man, Eddie Ordiales, says, Albert, what are you doing? Nothing. You want to come down to New York? To Miami because the rehearsals were in New York. Rehearsals were in Miami. The recording happened in New York. Says, you want to come to Miami and work with this girl named Shakira? And I'm like,
This girl.
This girl named Shakira. Like, wow.
I did not know who she was back in the day, I must admit. And we're talking 99 when she was very well known in the Hispanic market, but not in the
in
US
American.
market.
I think she had her first major one. It was early 2000s.
Yeah, 2000. The big hit was Whenever, Wherever. That's the first big US hit. So I did not know who she was, but of course, as soon as I got the call, I started research. I dug the music. I thought her stuff was brilliant. So went down to Miami. I met her. She met me. I loved her. She dug me, and 20 years later, here I am.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of fate. It's not like I had to audition or hustle for the gig. It came into my life, and I was fortunate enough to.
A lot of stories I hear are very just like that, where it's like you're pretty much like, well, I was just doing what I was doing.
Sure.
And my life led me here. So it's like for any musicians listening, I tell myself this, I tell other musicians, you just do what you do. Just continue to do what you do. You'll pave your path and you'll make it happen. Like if you get to a point where it's like, well, I'm doing good, but I can't figure out what's next, just keep doing what you already know that you can do, because something, you might get a call where it's like, hey, I need you over here. We got this going on.
Say work begets work. Life experiences beget life experiences. If you follow a particular path, whatever path you're in, whoever's vibrating to that path will come into your life. It doesn't mean that they will give you $1 million job. It could just mean that they'll say hello to you and make you feel for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
but that's it.
There might be somebody in that room who's just sitting there hanging out. You didn't expect
somebody
them to be
could be
there.
listening to us and they know you like K-Tronella. You could be booked tomorrow to do an opening gig for
I had an artist on my label who K Tronada contacted him to go on tour with him, but he denied it, and I almost lost my mind.
That wasn't his path.
I know, man, but I almost lost. I'm like, are you?
Do I know this person?
Well, me and him
you don't have to pull him out. You don't have to
I'm
put
not
him out there. Don't put him under the
but
bus. But.
You're not friends with him on Facebook.
Okay.
He was an artist that we had who was in the UK at the time. He was in Leeds.
No, blonde hair.
No, not that.
No, my bad. I'm not trying to do him like that. But if it's what I think it is,
that's the homie. No, he's working. I think he's moving to Bristol, and he's working with a bunch of artists out there now. So he's good.
All right. Just making sure.
A good question would be like, how do you keep your craft? That you're on point for the situations. Do you always practice? Are you always reaching for other things? So you do.
Man, it's
a great question.
That's a good question, because I'll be honest, man, I have not practiced my instrument in a long time. I kind of missed that. I won't say the positive flip to that, but what I have been doing is that I've been crafting more on the writing and in the learning how to program. So my skills on that are a lot better as they were. And it's something I didn't start with that. I started actually playing the piano 8 hours a day. So I did do that for many years. But nowadays, I hardly play a piano. When I play it, it feels almost like foreign, like wow. Like you do so many jobs nowadays and you play keyboards, which is soft keyboards or not weighted action. So when you actually play a piano, man, it hurts. You're not used to that anymore, So my piano skills are not how they used to be. But again, it's the path that I'm walking in. If I had to go to that, I'll probably commit more time and energy to practicing a few hours a day so you can get your chops back. Yeah.
There's something about that. I feel like he's just never lost his chops, though. Try to be as humble as you try to be, but I'm telling you right now, if I put a piano in here right now, he'd just blow it out the water.
And you're right, I could play, but I could not play like I played 10, 15 years ago. First of all, because I'm older, so you can. And second of all, because I have not kept that up.
So, not to interrupt you, but that's good. All right, so what do you mean because you're a little bit older, you can't play it like you used to play it,
let's compare to someone else. You play in the NBA, you're a 19-year-old kid. You can probably jump off the roof and dunk like a guy, but you don't have the knowledge of the passing of the game or know when that guy has played so many minutes or when the coach has tendencies to go one way. Same thing with playing. As I get older, I can blaze to the machine because I don't have the physical skills that you had 20 years ago. But I have the knowledge, knowing of if I don't play 20 notes, but I play that one note, that artist is gonna happen. And that's it. I try to hit that note.
Wow.
And then everything else, if you don't happen, they're not going to notice. But that one note, they're going to go, hey.
Hey.
That's key too, because a lot
it's-
of the new folks, the kids rather, or new to the business, don't understand pleasing the artist.
Sure.
No, they want to come in and say, "Well, this is what I have. This is what I have." Not understanding the framework that the artist needs and just how easy that part is to do. And that's how you keep that gig, and how that artist will be at a dinner table talking, "Hey, yeah, my keyboard player is killing, and his name is," and it goes like that. And that's how that road is set for you. So those things is real important.
Yeah.
I agree.
We somebody in the chat room posted the name.
The name?
Yeah.
Oh, he put the homie, the artist.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, I got you. That's funny. That's funny.
What time? Oh man.
Well, I got one more question.
Okay.
I mean, with all the people you have worked with, all the musicians and artists, who's one that maybe you want to work with that you haven't had a chance to do something with? Maybe.
God, great question, man. I missed the boat. Well, not missed the boat because it was never in my path. But I would have loved to work with David Bowie. He's one of my all-time favorites, and he recently passed away. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm such a fan. You know,
Yeah.
he would have been just incredible to be a part of. But I guess people that are working now, that I'm a huge fan of Anderson .Paak. I love to rock with him.
Yeah.
I love his music. What was it? So somebody else. I know, And this, I haven't worked with him, but I did. I got to play with him. Coldplay. I'm a huge fan of Coldplay.
Wow.
And Shakira did Coldplay invited her to do a show with him, and it's called Global Citizen in Hamburg. So she sang a couple songs with him, and then he joined her to do a couple of her songs. So I never really worked with Coldplay, but I worked with Chris Martin. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really
Huge
cool.
fan
Yeah.
of those guys. I mean, people. You start thinking about, for example, Robert Glasper.
Oh my
Pianist.
God.
I love Robert, man. I listen to him
man.
play, and I'm like, man, I wish I played like that guy. Love his styles. I would love to get to meet him. I never met him, And then all the cats, like, for example, Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, musicians that I love, Come on, Quincy Jones.
Jones.
People that like. If I wish I could work with them,
I was a big Herbie Hancock fan, just knowing that he was Miles Davis's pianist, I believe.
Right. Yeah,
and then he kind of, did his own thing, but he blazed a whole new path.
He was like, what, 20 years old?
Yeah.
And Tony Williams was at 18? I mean, come on.
It is. It's that story is insane, and then the whole, I guess maybe almost electronic music part, or when he kind of
Rocket.
Oh man,
Yeah, he works with a lot. He works with a lot of artists who produce like electronic, like Flying Lotus. Gold Link. He's worked with Gold Link.
Flying Lotus, I love.
Yeah.
I saw him.
Lotus is really
saw him a
good.
few years ago at 3 Points in Miami.
Oh
man.
man, I saw him in Atlanta, and then I went to Atlanta to watch the show. They had a bigger stage, so he could do the whole pyramid setup. It was when Until the Quiet Comes came out. I could listen to that front to back. Got it on vinyl. But he's
love
Thundercat.
Thundercat's back.
Yeah.
That bass is
that whole what's the label? Brain Feeder.
Brain
man. Come
Feeder,
on,
yeah.
those guys are on
Teeps, Toki
point.
Monster, all
Those
those
guys are
man.
on point. Come on, my girl.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, man. I would love to work with Toki Monster one day, or do a show with her.
Yeah.
There was
Wolfpack.
like
I don't know if anyone listens to Wolfpack a lot, or if anyone even heard
Wolfpack
of him.
is
but
really. I
yeah.
post a lot
some
of
of
their
their
stuff.
Nice. Them I don't know. I'd love to check that out.
It's to me. I mean,
it's
one of my
great.
buddies on a podcast I used to be on. Whatever, I'll put Ono Radio Show. But they do a music kind of thing every Monday night, and they put me on a Wolfpack. And I think it's just a trio, I believe. It's just 3 dudes.
Oh, nice.
But I mean, they rip it, man.
Nice,
They
nice.
tear
Love
it.
to check it out. I'll
It's,
check it out.
it's some good stuff.
Yeah, man. I like your ear for music. We on the same on the same wave, man.
And I mean, I go everywhere. I mean, I'm a fan of that, but I'm also, dude, I love classical music. I'm a huge fan of that music. I love jazz. I love pop. I got 2 kids. I have a 12-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. So I listen to all the stuff they listen to, and I'm totally into it. It's all about. It's all about the enjoyment and the ability to relate to all kinds of music. I'm into it.
All right. So we do have a caller on the phone lines who just called in. Hey, can you introduce yourself? Let us know who you are.
Yes, my name is Nikki Jones.
Hey, Nikki. How are you doing?
Well, I've been trying to call all day, and I got several friends to call in, but their phone kept hanging up, so I guess you guys' lines were crowded.
Yeah, they have been.
Yay. Hello, Alberto Menendez.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm fine. I couldn't wait to get into you, and I've been listening to you all, and I just wanted to say hello, and I love your work. And how long have you been playing with Shakira?
19 years I've been with my lovely girl. Yeah.
19 years? They don't use, divas usually don't keep musicians that long.
You know, you are absolutely right. I have survived many a storm, but I'm still here. Yeah, by all means. And you're right.
So that says a lot about you.
It is odd that happens. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that says a lot about you. Well, I love your music, and so what are you doing? What are you doing next? And you know, what's the future hold for you?
The future we'll have this U.S. leg that should end at the top of next month. Then we take a month off break, so I go home and spend some time with my family. Then we do Latin America, and that should take us all the way to November. Then if she doesn't continue on tour, I have a few other opportunities of work. I may be joining La Voz, the TV show, if that happens, the Spanish version. And I have a few records on my own that I want to go ahead and finish. And after that, I'm open. I'm looking. Anybody wants a keyboard player? I'm here. I'm living life just like everyone else. You know, surviving and try to be a father. You know.
That is so awesome, and I know a lot of singers are listening to you, and they love your work, and I also think that it's just spectacular, the relationship between Valencia College and the company Orlando Ion Talent and Damon Mendes. You guys are doing a great thing, and to usher in Alberto Menendez is just, it's only greatness that's ahead.
Thank you for calling, and I agree. I'm enjoying myself here in Valencia. Damon was kind enough to make this connection for me. So I do thank
great
him.
Great job, Damon.
I
don't know him personally, but I think he's doing great.
Yeah, Damon is the man, man.
Thank you.
For real.
And thank you for calling.
Oh, for sure. And Alberto, where can we follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Sterling Negro, which is a pretty easy one. Sterling and the color black in Spanish. Or, where else? Where can you find me? I'm on Twitter as well, Sterling Negro. What else? Those two are pretty good right there. Oh, you can go to my website, which is easy. That's albertsterlingmenendez.com. So there you go.
Oh,
Three
that's
things.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, John Q and the Valencia College radio station. You guys are doing great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you for calling.
Awesome.
That is, so I want to, she posed a question that I wanted to add. What is the storm that you weathered? Like some storms that you weathered? You said you've made it through the 19 years.
Just like industry storms.
That's
maybe,
normal. I mean, come on, that's normal. Any job you deal with. You know, I've been told you also. I've been told like, what the hell are you doing? You know, I've thought about going to something else. I've been off for other jobs. She has stopped working, so you have to look for other work. I mean, it's just. I'm simply talking, I mean, nothing without going into details, which happens in many situations. It's just, in 19 years, you know, there'll be plenty of ups and even bigger and more downs.
Yeah.
It's just life, you know. Personal things, you know, I got married, I got babies, you know, things that are your everyday life. How go into that?
Yeah, how is because I do live sound, so I do like monitors and front of house work, and so I meet a lot of touring acts, and they come in, and I ask most of them, the ones that like come off the tour bus, because you know I don't really, you know, so some of them stay on it, but I ask most of them, like, how do you manage tour life with being a family man? Like, how does that work, especially that you have older?
It's some of the most difficult. It's probably the most difficult thing I got to deal with. Because I love my kids, I love my wife, I love being with them, but what I do provides for them. So, you know, there's that, you know, the distance is difficult. There's a couple of perks that we have nowadays with technology. You can be a lot closer to your kids. Like yesterday, my boy had a Taekwondo tournament. He's 8, he was fighting.
Okay.
And I was in the Washington, D.C. airport, about to fly to Orlando, and I'm on my phone watching my boy do a tournament. You know, forget 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that was not going to happen.
No.
Yeah.
So because of technology, you can be a lot closer to people that you love for the things that matter to you. But there's no replacement like holding them and being with them, you know. But again, I do what I do. I do it now primarily for them. And second, because I do love what I do. I mean, I find a lot of joy in playing and performing, but it's all about the future for me. And I have to provide for those two little ones. So,
Yeah.
you know, they also kind of used to it that every time daddy goes home, they're happy. And then after a while, you're Dad, when you leaving? So it's all good.
There was a comedian who said something about how now they come back off the tour and their kids are just like, oh, whatever, and
Sure.
they leave the house. And
No, dude, at first it would jump on you when they were younger. Now my daughter's like, "Hi, Daddy, how are you? So you good? Yeah, okay. I gotta go to my room." I'm like,
Yeah.
I just got home. Yeah, of course.
But we do have a caller, and I kept him on hold for a minute. Can you? How are you? First of all, how are you doing? And can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Denise Brown. How are you?
I'm fine, and yourself?
I'm pretty good. I was calling because I just tuned in. I wanted to call in because I wanted to say to Alberto that I really love your musicality. But I'm just tuning in, and I wanted to know where you were from.
I'm originally from Cuba. That's where I was born. I was born there in 1966, a long time ago.
Uh-oh, putting it out there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But I immigrated to the U.S. in 1980, which is back in the day when there was like a huge wave of Cubans, about 150,000 Cubans left. Did you ever see the movie Scarface?
Yes, I love it.
Well, if the beginning scene where you see Mr. Castro or that dude talking about the government and we don't need him and a bunch of people in boats, just like my man Pacino's character left. That's where I left, in a flotilla, in a boat, over the U.S.
Wow.
Oh, so that was real.
That's a story.
Oh, yeah.
That is a
That
story
was real.
right there.
Yeah, that's why I left. Yeah.
Oh, wow. We just getting
Shakira's at the Amway, correct?
Yes, she's performing there tomorrow. We just got to Florida. We've been on the U.S. now for almost 2 weeks. We do Orlando tomorrow night. Then we drive right back. Continue right on to Sunrise for Lauderdale. Then we have a day off. We do 2 Miami shows. And then we go on to Texas and California and finish the U.S.
So how do I get tickets?
How can you get tickets?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ticketmaster?
That's not his job. That's not his job. His job is not.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
He's just come to
but
play.
I know they have like radio promotions, so you may get some stuff for free.
Yeah,
There's all kinds of prices, but believe me, and I used to live in Miami, so my ticket request in Miami is way too high. So some people being turned down, but that's the beauty of it, that she is that well liked that people want to come see her. So that's pretty cool.
Okay, I have one more question.
All right.
I wanted to know, how did you hook up with Damon Mendes and Orlando Island Talent?
I hooked up with Damon because I knew Damon from my living days in New York when I was when he was a part of the Black Rock Coalition, and actually not to go into a different tip, but there was other things scheduled that we're planning to do tonight that did not come to fruition. But Damon and hired me to do some music clinics when I was in New York, and I remember doing 2 of them, and I had an amazing and fun time then. So that's my relationship with Damon. Outside of, I don't know, did we ever do gigs together? I know we knew each other. Did we ever play?
just the clinics.
Yeah, we did the
just knowing
clinics.
the same, we have the same network of friends in New York.
Of course.
Yeah, we're
musicians.
blood brothers.
I know we go back. Plus, come on. Damon Mendes,
think
Albert
that's so
Menendez.
awesome.
We're practically
Yeah.
right there.
You're really close.
Just when somebody decided to add 3 letters to my name, otherwise we'd be brothers.
Oh, well, thank you for your time. Thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
All
No
right.
problems. Thank you for the call.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
calling.
calling.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right. So, we're almost at our time for this show, unfortunately. Do you have any last questions before? I don't want to cut anybody off.
I kind of would be moving it back over to your own music and your own group and everything. And I was kind of telling you earlier, and I'll kind of leave it at this. The last question I'll ask, but just listening to your stuff, it's very I guess the word I wanted to use is almost kind of like primal to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like how would you describe your sound? You know, is that a fair question? Or?
Yeah, I guess it is fair. I mean, it was probably difficult for me to talk about what I think my sound is. My sound is what comes out of my head, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I mean, there are influences. There are people that I was a big fan of growing up in the genre of music that I do that have influenced me. People like Louis Vega, like Ozune Lade, like Frankie Feliciano, which I spoke about, Paul Trouble Anderson out of London. So there, you know, that sound, David Morales, that sound is something Tatari. I mean, I can think of people that I'm a huge fan of. And then obviously whatever I happen to be listening, like obviously, you know, we go back to K-Tornado. I love his work. So there's stuff that I do now that I may go, well, I like that sound, or I mean, it's you know, you don't really, I don't think you think about your sound. I mean, professionally, you try to think, you know, what can I do that people that have liked what I do continue to feel it, but it doesn't feel stale. You know, continue to grow.
It's a continually maybe evolving kind of thing. You know,
and I guess, you know, there are days that you spend 24 hours thinking about it. There's another day, say 24 seconds, and you just go. You know. But, you know, I guess that's what I think of my sound. I mean, so my own experiences, stuff that I've done in the past, and things that I've been listening to now that influence you to do the next project, the next joint, as the kids like to say, whatever.
Yeah, that's it. I nerded out. I'm good. I'm all nerded out.
All right.
We're all right. We're
well, thank you, Damon. Orlando Eye on Talent.
More to come. More to come.
Yeah, that'll be love. That'll be a lot of love, man. I want to give a shout out Valencia College Radio, of course.
Yeah,
also, thank you, Albert
my
Sterling.
pleasure, man. It's been fun.
Thank you for coming through.
It's been fun.
Hanging out with us.
Cool.
Thanks.
That's cool. Nah, you're cool.
Think about it. I mean,
come on.
I could have come here with an attitude, and you guys could have been like, yeah, whatever. I mean, we were engaged, and that I like.
Yeah. And shouts out to Saul you.
Saul you.
Hey, shout out to you, man. I don't even want to talk about what I had to do to be here today. You know, I'll tell you guys off air.
Well, don't owe anybody no money, bro.
Yeah, no, it's nothing like that. No.
But I would like everybody to know this is Are You Afraid of the Blank? We normally broadcast live every Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. We always discuss topics that we have special guests on air from all backgrounds, but we like to talk about things that you may not be comfortable discussing on air, or just things that you just don't hear all the time, or you want to hear some input from. But that's what we do. We also have guests from all over tell their story. So that's what we do here, and it's 6 to 7 p.m. on Valencia College Radio. And last but not least, Albert, if you'd like to throw out your social media where everybody can follow you.
Sure, they can follow me at Sterling Negro on Instagram. Same thing, Sterling Negro on Twitter, or you can log in into my website, which is albertsterlingmenendez.com. I hope you do that. I hope you enjoy the music. Thank you guys for having me.
Yep.
Thank you, Damon, for the hookup.
My pleasure.
Come on, keep on living.
And you're performing live tomorrow.
Tomorrow night at the Amway with our girl Shakira.
Hey, and we don't have tickets to give away. One day we'll be. I think
we'll get
the next tickets we got to give away Elena Perez. I got some. I haven't announced that yet, but if anybody likes
cool.
Elena Perez, I have some of those tickets.
Put me down for that one.
Yeah, put me down.
You gonna be in Orlando?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You'll come back for that. I got you then. I got
real quick. Can I just say LDR signature?
Yeah.
You know, my friends here that are also videotaping, and Orlando Eye on Talent. You know, because we have great plans of doing some other great things as going through the year to bring some great artists in and do some great things. But we appreciate you, John Q and Saul.
Thank you, man.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah. And we plan to do some more great things. And Albert, just reaching out, coming out here to doing this is an awesome thing.
Of course. My pleasure, guys. My pleasure.
This is the most important, most famous person we've ever interviewed. Straight up. Yeah, it is.
You guys are going to keep blowing up because I'm like, here, there's plenty more. So we keep it going.
Hey, make sure if you're ever back in Orlando, come back around.
I will.
Most
definitely.
We can just have some fun. Have you seen the studios upstairs?
Yeah.
No, it's the first time walking in here.
Let's do that when we get off air.
You got it. You got it.
All right, but thanks everybody.
Freestyle.
Oh,
that's
see,
right.
You got to freestyle. See, you got to freestyle now.
I'm not freestyling. Everybody knows.
I'm gonna try to get him.
Just at least have a good beat on that.
We'll see what we got.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
check
jazzy.
it.
What?
Hey, check it.
What you got for him?
Right? Is that it?
Yeah,
Right? You gonna go?
Yeah. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna let you do it, Saul.
All right.
What's
Yo,
happening?
sometimes you got to let go.
What?
I'm sitting here listening to Sterling Negro.
Hey.
Dropping life lessons in my earlobe because that's how I do it, yes, and now you know.
Okay.
No, that's it. That's all y'all did. That's all
Come on, guys. Okay.
And we out of here.
Yeah, we out.